Hello, welcome. Today I want to talk about my collection of eyeshadows from Devinah. I think Devinah has some of the best eyeshadows in the game. I said it. This is all the shadows that I have from them. It's from various different lines, various different collections, and I'm really excited because I'm super passionate about a lot of these. We're gonna start just by popping a look on my eyes because I don't want to do this whole thing barefaced, and I'll show you some of these in action. And after that, I'm gonna go through and swatch all of them on my arm, and we can talk about some of the differences, some of my absolute favorites, a couple that I think are pass-worthy. So yeah, let's get into that. Okay, so I just have my Anastasia eye primer on my eyes, and to start, I'm gonna go in with this matte. It's called Meraki. I love that it's just like a weird mauve lipstick color, I want to call it. I find their mattes can be a little powdery, which isn't always a bad thing, because like, look at that pigment. Even as I'm saying that, like, no fallout. And then to deepen that up, I'm going to use Virago. This was one of the first shadows I ever purchased from them. Just like a nice, bold, deep purple. I'm gonna use my same brush and just deepen that up. Okay, yeah, we're keeping it kind of simple today because I just want to have a little quick look. But for my lid, the lucky winner today is this gorgeous shade Lynx. I swatched this recently and I was like, holy crap, I was blown away by the sparkle in this shadow. How pretty. You know what I want to do for a fun comparison? I always apply shimmers with my finger, so that's generally how I swatch them, how I apply them. But I know some people have like long nails and stuff. I'm going to apply this on my other lid with a dry brush and just see if it makes a difference. This is like a really old brush I've had like my entire life that is good for packing. I'm sure people that pack on shimmery eyeshadows have a brush that's good for packing. Alright, I think as expected, it makes it like a little bit less intense, but it still has that sparkle. It still looks really pretty. I am going to pack over it with my finger though. And then just to extend the shimmer a little bit, I have the shade that I'm like kind of constantly on the fence about. It's called No Place Like Home. It's just like a shimmery, deep, blackish purple, and I just want to pack that over the outer part a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna put on the rest of my makeup and then come back for my inner corner and lower lash line. Okay, on my lower lash line, I want to introduce a new color, which is Remy. It's this super beautiful shade of purple. You can see it's had like a little bit of like chunks fall out of it. I think I dropped eyeshadows at some point, and that's what happened to that. I think it was the same palette. I had these like Cleona like regular singles, and like those are completely like dislodged from their pan. So I guess all in all, not the worst. A little bit of fallout on my cheek, but I think it's little enough that I'll be able to swipe that away. And then I just want to go into that deep purple again, that Virago, and then extend that from my upper lid into Remy. This brush might be a little thick for this. For my inner corner, it's going to be the shade Pancake Bubbles, which is what shimmery champagne dreams are made of. I'm going to extend that a little bit up and a little bit down also. Alright, and that's the eyeshadow. I'm just going to pop on my eyeliner, mascara, lips, and I'll be right back. And this is the look for today. I popped on my Glam Light gloss in Hot Chocolate. Eyes are looking cute. Hella sparkly. And let's get into the rest of these shadows. So we're gonna start with the shimmers. For a lot of these, I guess I'll say the category they're in isn't clear. Like, they come out with these collection names, but it's not as like clear with other lines that have like shimmers, metallics, chameleons, auroras, whatever it is. I guess we'll start with the more basic shimmers though, just because I only have a couple of those, and we'll get them out of the way so we can move on to the ones that blow my mind. It's also a collection that I've been building for a couple years now, so I'm like looking it up, and not all the ones that I have are still available, but I think all of the best ones that I have are still available. I think they're pretty good at keeping those around. The first one I'm going to swatch is one that is still available. It's the shade Triton. I got it, I think, Black Friday 2020, and I don't know. I had this vision of having like this like shimmery chocolate on my eyelid, so I went ahead and bought this instead of just like looking at my collection and what I already had. That's why I have this. It's nice. It's like a nice basic metallic. And I'm sure it would look beautiful in like a chocolate smoky eye all over the lid, but it just doesn't give me the same drama that I get from shades like what I have on my lid. The next one, oh, I should mention also that the regular baseline shimmers are $6. And I would say if you like funky special shadows and you want to see the best that Devinah has to offer, stay away from the $6 shadows. They have $8 shadows that we'll get to that are out of this world, and they do have pretty good sales. I don't know if they tend to have sales during the year, but at least on Black Friday, they'll like launch new products for half off and stuff like that. So the next one that I have, it's not coming up on the website. It's the shade Majesty. I bought it in the same order as Triton. And like a nice golden bronze, but it's just like a shimmer. It's not like a sparkly shade. And then we're just gonna quickly talk about the shade that I put on my outer third, the shimmer shade. It's No Place Like Home. It's not available on the website anymore, so I don't know how much it was. I feel like it was one of the $6 shades, but it does look more sparkly and duochromatic than those other two, so I just can't tell you for certain. It's a pretty shade. It's just kind of like not my jam, not what I usually reach for, but I do like it in cases like this where I'm just like deepening up darker matte shadows and like, you know, extending the shimmer all over the lid. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. The next shade I'm gonna be telling you about is the first shimmer that I got from them. I'm pretty sure my first order was like 4 mattes and 1 shimmer. I don't know what I was doing back then. I wasn't me, clearly. This is the shade Celesta, and I had seen like a finger swatch on Instagram. They'll do like periodic competitions where someone will like have these really drenched finger swatches of just like a trio of their choosing, and I had seen one of those and purchased all of them. It was this shade, Virago, which is the dark purple, and I think Courtney, which is an upcoming matte, and I purchased all of those along with some others. And this shade is just so gorgeous. When I think of my collection already having good greens, I think I've said that before, especially purchasing Luxie shadows, that like I'm less interested in purchasing greens because I already have good greens. This is like the first shade that comes to mind. I remember when I got it, I was just like surprised. I wasn't expecting this kind of beautiful sparkle. So it's definitely like a grungy green. Really pretty. It even could kind of like just pass as like a gold. It's kind of like a dirty money shade. But just like look at that like flip, that transformation for $8. I love that shadow. Forever one of my favorite shadows. I think I also did use that on the lid. It's an old video, but it's like a oil slick multi-chrome makeup look. I'll link it down below if I remember. And I know I'm using that on my lid there. Incredible. The next shade we're going to be talking about is Asteria. I think after that first purchase, when I was interested in trying more Devinah shadows because Celesta blew my mind, Asteria kind of stood out as maybe their best shadow that they had otherwise. And I still like don't have a grasp on what color it is. It looks really green right now. It looks gray or like reddish in other lights. It's an $8 shadow, if you can believe it. Or even if you can't believe it, it's still an $8 shadow. And even just like on my finger, it's red, it's green, it's so pretty. I've said before, like, I love shades that you can't like call a color, that are just like a mishmash of colors. And this is definitely that kind of shade. Super pretty. And then the shadow that I think of as its cousin is the shade Messier. I think of this as like the blue version of Asteria. Yeah, it's just like red, but also like cooler toned. I think you can see that like green and blue distinction there. But they're both just so gorgeous. They remind me of like recent Terra Moon shadows that I swatched that fell into that like green blue mishmash family also. But these are a lot cheaper. I did some quick not googling. I did some quick searching on their website. I think most of the shimmers that I have are the $8 ones. So that's cool. We're gonna get into a little bit of a brighter zone. This is the shade Marshmallow Pillows. They've done a bunch of like candy inspired collections. So I guess that's a cute concept. And I've just, you know, bought shadows here and there from them. This Marshmallow Pillows, I used this in my random palette selection for January. I have very mixed feelings about this because like for some reason it just doesn't excite me, but there was a lot of times that month that I needed some extra punch to my eye look, and this was exactly what it needed. So I don't know why, just like looking in the pan or touching it, it's not my favorite. Maybe just like it's like a thinner shadow. Maybe just that particular shade of pink isn't really my jam, but it's a really good shadow. I'm not really seeing too much of a flip to it here, but still like a really nice sparkle. But I guess just based on my weird feelings about it, if I lost all my Devinah shadows and I had to replace them, I probably would skip that one. Next is the shade that I put on my inner corners and extended down a little bit. It's the shade Pancake Bubbles. Super pretty, love it. Super sparkly. Not really a flip to that one either, but just like a really nice, basic, light champagne. Always very useful in looks and good to pop over the top of looks to give them a little bit more shine. Okay, so I took a second to search the price of all of these shimmers, and I realized that they're all $8 except for two of them. So I'll swatch the two that aren't now, and then we can just go back to all of them are $8 and I don't have to say it anymore. So the second most expensive Devinah shadow that I have in my collection is called Magnetosphere. And I believe this is supposed to be a multi-chrome, and that's why it's that price. And it is really pretty. I was pleased with this when I got it. It's less of like a sparkly formula though. I can even tell just like popping it on my finger that it's like a very smooth multi-chrome. It doesn't have those like shimmer specks that they're kind of like known for, in my opinion. Can't really see the shift there, but I know it's like a blue and purple, and it's really pretty. Not so much my jam, just because I'm not that into dark shadows and especially dark shimmers, but I know I've used this at least in my lower lash line and it's been really pretty. And even looking at it now, it looks very pink. Maybe you still can't see. I'll take my own picture and put it in once I have all the shimmers swatched, so you'll be able to see if what I see is any different than how it's coming across on camera. But yeah, I think they have a good multi-chrome formula. It's just very dark, and dark shadows aren't my favorite. And then the most expensive shadow that I have from them is the $17 Marama. This came out in their, I think it was their Halo Moon collection that they came out with in 2021, and I was pretty excited for it with all of like the sneak peeks and everything, and I was thinking about snatching up the entire collection, because a lot of times their collections will be like $48, $56, but this one was all $17 shadows, and it was like over $100 for the bundle, so I just picked the one that looked like the best to me, and it was the shade Marama. I see I've only gone into it with a little brush, so I've only used it for my inner corners, so I'm excited to kind of explore the shadow a little bit. It feels more like that Marshmallow Pillows in formula, just like a softer flake. But even like on my finger, I can see the different colors in it. Super pretty. I know Devinah was posting a lot on Instagram of people using that over other shadows, which I have not yet experimented with, but I can tell it's a good one, and I'm excited for it. They also came out with recently Fairy Fire. I think that was something that was released on Black Friday, and it's going to be restocking on February 18th. I don't think I'm going to have this video up by then, but it restocked on February 18th, and they're pretty good at keeping you updated on their Instagram about future restocks. You can also go on the website and enter your email for like a notify me if it comes back in stock, so that's helpful also. Yeah, that one, looking at it in my eye, it looks like green and pink on my arm. Super pretty. And let's get back to these $8 shimmers. One of my favorites is the shade Orion. I think this came out on Black Friday in 2020 also, and I bought a couple shadows then. I mentioned I bought those two neutral $6 shimmers then. I bought like maybe 5 shadows, but I skipped out on buying the entire collection that this was included in, and the shadows that I bought were on pre-order. This is like the messiest story. The shadows I bought were in pre-order, and before I got that order in, I saw someone on Instagram posted a picture using the shade Orion, and I was like, man, I goofed by not buying that collection. That's so pretty. And then I checked my order confirmation and I did buy it. So it came in the mail a couple weeks later and I love it. It's such a pretty bright lime green and I've had a lot of fun with this shade already. Isn't that pretty? It looks like a little bit sheer on my arm, I think, but on my eye, I found it really pops and I love it. And I think at the same time as when I bought the shade Aquila, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's like a super pretty, bright, greenish teal. I could see in my finger it has like a purple flip to it as well. Let me build that one up a little bit. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, I'm gonna do that for Orion too, just to show you what I'm talking about. Yeah. Such beautiful shades. Such sparkle. The next one is Pixy Stix, which if you asked me if I owned it, I would have said no. It's like a gold pink. Really pretty. I can tell that I've used it, but I don't remember. Maybe I'll build that one up also. Okay, that looks pretty. The gold and the pink just look so perfectly weaved into each other. Maybe you'd call it a rose gold. Really pretty. So the next shade we're going to be talking about is their shade Moonlit, which is so incredibly gorgeous, and it inspired their entire recent Moonscapes collection, which is like the same formula as this, and it's at the top of my wish list, and hopefully by the time you see this, I got it on their February 18th restock. That's my plan. I'm so obsessed with it. And I'm so obsessed with this shadow. Oh my god. It's like all these shadows are so good. And then I swatched this one and I'm just like, what is this coin that's on my finger? That's a one swiper. Wow. I think of this as being more than just a silver, but it kind of does just like look like a silver, but that's okay. It's the most gorgeous silver that I could ever ask for. The one that's similar to it, but might edge it out a little bit, is the shade Mystic Moonpie, which is kind of like a silver plus a little bit more. Oh, it's so pretty. It's kind of like a silver, but it has more of a reddish base. It's a little bit less va-va-voom than Moonlit is, but I still love it. It's super gorgeous. I think in my video last year where I duped out and made better the Juvia's Place Taupes palette, I think it was this one that I used all over my lid, and I still really like that look. I'll try to link that down below also. Next, we'll talk about the shade that I used on my lid that you saw earlier. It's the shade Lynx. Really pretty. Just look at that. This is the shade that I swatch periodically, and I'm just like, wow, I own the most amazing shadows in the whole world. I love the versatility of it. I feel like you could put it in an orange look and it'll look like an orange. You could put it in a neutral look and it'll look more like a gold. I really like it, and yeah, I just really like it. This one has a cousin shade in my collection also. It's Sweetie Sunbeam, which I think is like the slightly more toned down, maybe more like taupey version of Lynx. Even though like it's not taupey at all, it's just taupier in comparison. Oh my god, it's so pretty. Are you ready for this one? Wow. Alright, maybe I should just say it's like the more brown version. It has like a deeper base than Lynx does. And it's so gorgeous. I made an Instagram post recently where I swatched a bunch of my gold shadows on my hand and I was blown away. And these two were both in that video. I wonder if I have more room in my elbow. We have 4 shades left. Actually, maybe I'll do this on my palm, even though the second I need to grab something, I'm gonna regret that. But yeah, I'm gonna do this on my palm and then we'll continue the mattes down on the inside of my arm. So the next shade is called Sugies, and I bought this at the same time as Marama, which I think kind of like diluted the experience for me a little bit. It's really pretty. It's not quite as shifty as Marama is, but really, really pretty. It's a different formula, and I can tell because this one's way more flaky. Super pretty. And looking at it from the side, it's like I can see a really bright pink in there, but it looks green on camera. The next shade is Kazookles, which is a shade I think about often because it's a really pretty glowy, like orchid purple. I love the tone of this. Wow, I love that. Next is this shade Swudge, which I think was also one of those like candy-inspired collections. It's a light blue, as you can see. I think it has like pink to it also. Really pretty. Even those 3 together, that's a gorgeous little Easter bundle, if you ask me. Which you didn't, but I told you anyway. The last shimmer that I have is the shade Cygnus, and it's like this reddish, pinkish shade, kind of bronzy in a way also. Really, really pretty. Wow. And there is Cygnus. So these are all of the shimmers I have from Devinah. Let me turn down my light also, just for a little bit more contrast. Switching over to phone cam for a sec while my camera charges, and I figured I'd show you what these swatches look like in different light. Oh my god, they're so pretty. So you can see in this lighting too, that Magnetosphere, that dark one in the middle there, you can see like the shift in there. And Marama, the other $17 one, is the one right next to it. You could see the pink there really well. And I wish I could point while I'm holding my arm and my other arm. Darn it. But like, you could see the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th one in looks bright red. That one is Asteria, and next to it is Messier. So those were the green and blue ones, and now they're like red and purple ones. Wow, this is the footage you came for, isn't it? Oh my god. So pretty. So I'm actually going to wipe these off just so I can swatch the mattes in their full glory and not have to avoid bumping these. But I'm glad we got to have this time together because holy guacamole, these are gorgeous shades. Okay, it's time to talk about the mattes from Devinah. The thing with mattes in general is I'm just way less into mattes than I was in the past. I think they can be useful building blocks for a look, of course, but I don't know. There was a time that I was like buying the whole range of mattes from all the different brands that I shop from, even though I had like such big overlap. This is kind of besides the point of Devinah mattes, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that if I bought these today, I wouldn't buy so many mattes, and not because Devinah's mattes are bad, just because I'm not enthusiastic about mattes, and there's not that much of like a difference in formulas in my opinion. Either mattes are, you know, good, they're okay, they're bad. It's not like shimmers where it's like you can have 5 shimmery greens that are all like absolutely incredible, you know? I don't think any mattes are absolutely incredible, maybe that's my point. But I really like some of their colors. So the first ones I'm going to swatch are the colors that I'm really excited about, and I guess the ones that I like stand by the most. And then the ones that are more neutral are the ones that I'm like, why do I have all of these? Because I just don't need that many. So Courtney was one of the mattes that made me want to purchase from Devinah in that like 3-finger swatch. This was the one there, and I just thought it was so unique and grungy, and I really liked it. So that's Courtney. It does kind of remind me of some of the shades from Menagerie a little bit, maybe like Electric, I think it's called. So not like absolutely unique, but I think at the time, I think I had this before I had this Menagerie shadow, so at the time this was very unique to me. And the same purchase, I purchased Elphaba, which I don't think I needed to do because I think those two are pretty similar. I think Elphaba might just be like a little bit more bright, where Courtney's a little bit more yellow based. Yeah, Elphaba's just like the nice sister of Courtney. The first matte that I used in my eyes is this Meraki, which I think is a pretty and a unique shade, and I like this a lot. I liked how I used it today, but I also think it would be interesting for like deepening a crease that I already used like a transition color in. I guess something interesting about these mattes is that like I'm pretty into transition colors. I like having an array of interesting transition colors, and I don't really have any from Devinah. I think that they just don't really have them, and that's why. Yeah, I really like that color. And then on the middle of my lower lash line, I use the shade Remy. I always love a good purple, and this is a good purple. It's pretty bright compared to a lot of other purples that I have, so that's cool. Pretty. I like it. It's very Perry. Oh, also, I don't know if I said this already, but I checked and all of these mattes are $6. I think that's the only option they have for mattes, and they're all still available except for one that I'll mention when we get there. This shade is called Ludic. It's like this stormy blue, dreary sea blue, I want to call it. I think it's a pretty unique shade in my collection also, maybe similar to Seaside from Give Me Glow, but I think it's also a little bit lighter. This shade I'm just always on the fence about. This is the shade Ethereal, which is like a cool brownish gray. I feel like it's useful as a transition for more cool tone looks, but I so rarely do cool tone looks and it doesn't excite me. I don't know. I use this in my January random palette selection, so I'll be reckoning with it soon. I'm gonna do like a video where I kind of talk about my first couple months of this random palette and declutter something, so this might be a little bit on the chopping block. It's not a bad shadow, it's just not really my jam, and I do think it's a little bit more powdery than other shadows of theirs. I think this is like one of the shadows that makes me think that their mattes might be powdery, even though I'm realizing they're not that powdery. So that's that there. Next I have the shade Tsenda, which is like a berry purple. This one feels like more dry in the pan. Really pretty color though. So that's that there. And after that we have the shade that I use to deepen up my outer corner. It's the shade Virago, also in my first purchase of Devinah shadows ever. Pretty similar to this one, just like a tad deeper. I feel like just from that swatch though, I like the formula of this one better than I like the formula of Virago. This shade I think is pretty. It's the shade Iduna, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm going to list all the shade names in order in the description box, so if I'm not pronouncing it right, if you're confused about the spelling, because they are kind of unusual names, you can reference down there. But it's kind of like an interesting, like a pumpkin orange. I like it. That's not the best swatch. This one feels a little bit dry. I have had some of these for a while. As I said, I wouldn't have purchased all these mattes today, so you know it's been a little while since I purchased all of them. But I wonder what the lifespan of these is like. Okay, that helped. Yeah, it's like a very kind of like rusty orange. Interesting. I'll be interested to use that one more and see if it's like just the swatch that's bad or if the shadow kind of went off. This is the shade that I checked for in the website and it didn't come up, so I take it as that means it's discontinued. It's the shade Runa, kind of just like a deeper orange, a dusty red. This one feels nicer than the last one did. That's for sure. That's a pretty nice color. All right. After that, we have the shade Lucretia. It's kind of just like the darker version of that one before it. Yeah, kind of like a warm reddish, lightish brown. I'm going to build that one up a little bit also. Nice. Yes, baby. What can I help you with? And the final matte that I have from them is the shade Bambi, which is in my February random palette selection currently. It's a nice brown, not that deep of a brown, kind of warm of a brown, kind of yellow of a brown. It's just a brown. Feels nice though. Yeah, that's a nice swatch. That's the shade Bambi. And these are all of the mattes that I have from Devinah. So I don't want to sound so like ho-hum about them because like they're fine mattes. I'm just not excited about mattes. But I'd say it's worth taking a look. If you like interesting colored mattes and you're in the market for them, I think they do have interesting colors that you won't necessarily find in other brands, like that Meraki shade and this Remy and this Ludic. And even these, if you don't have those specific ones from Menagerie that I'm thinking of, these might be lacking in your collection as well. Hi, baby. I'd say also if I was going to suggest to a friend what shades to start with from Devinah, I mean, it really is up to your personal preference and it's up to the shades that you like and the shades that are lacking in your collection. So maybe I should phrase this as if I lost my whole collection and I just wanted to replace my 5 favorite shades from Devinah, I would probably do Mystic Moonbeam, which is this like silver plus a warm base shade. Really pretty. I would do Orion, that lime green. Yes, baby. I don't know if I would do Lynx or Sweetie Sunbeam or both, but I really like these shades. I'd probably do both. And then that leaves one spot open. Oh. All right, I'm gonna say another 2, okay? The other 2 are Celesta, which is that original green that I was so blown away by. Love it. And Kazookles. I just feel like it really just like stands off of your face. It's really pretty and unique in my opinion, and I really like it. And that's my whole collection from Devinah for now until I get my hands on those Moonscapes shadows. And that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like, subscribe. There's more indie content on the way, always. And that's everything. Bye.